Alrighty. So, happy Friday, everyone. Hope you've had an amazing week so far. We are just about to jump on our final episode of this week for Breakthrough TV, and what a wonderful way to end this week with a great friend of mine, and really a for Canada. And he's here. Let's wait for him. Yay!
There you are. Hi, Dorothy.
There you are.
You look
So
great.
Cool.
I mean, if I was going to be, obviously I'm trying to get this thing to set up properly and I'm struggling, but I've got it. If I'm making you dizzy, I'm also dizzy. And you're too young to know the song, or do you know it?
Which one?
I'm so dizzy, my head is spinning. That one? Like a whirlpool, it never ends. And it's you, girl, making it spin. You're making me dizzy, my head is... That one. The answer is no, you don't know it. It's because you're too young. Your hair looks great.
Oh, thank you. It's my Friday hair.
I believe that to be true. Okay, this is really bugging me. You know what I'm going to do? Because I've got nothing else to do with my hands. I'm going to hold it right here. Okay, there you are. Good morning, Dorothy. You look great.
For now you don't. For now you don't.
But yeah, that's true.
Something to do later.
Yeah, that's right. Well, when that happens, I'll just put it down or something. Yeah.
Oh, it's so nice to have you. Thank you for joining me on your Friday.
Oh, with the pandemic, it's kind of like, what were you going to do today? Well, believe it or not, I've got Isabel over. We have our first granddaughter, and so we picked her up this morning, and that's why I'm wearing pink, because she was wearing pink.
Oh, what kind of matchy? I have some pink.
Oh, well, if you were here, I'd let you hold her in your arms, and you'd say, oh, man.
Yeah, she's pretty cute.
She's as cute as a button. And the very best thing is that my children, my son and my daughter-in-law, know that everything in life comes when it's supposed to come. So she was a really slow walker. She started walking 17 months. And she's going to be a slow... Well, people sometimes... And she's going to be a slow talker. And she's going to be a slow reader. But Dorothy, it's like anything else. It's going to happen. All you have to do is encourage it and be there to support them. And she's going to be a voracious reader because everybody around her is. Anyway, good morning. Where are we going? What do you want to talk about?
Oh, it's good morning there still, right? I'm already after lunch here.
I know that. I know.
What are we going to talk about? Well, I'm going to open up with actually one of my favorite pages from one of your books. I'm sure you're going to know which book it is. Here we go. I'll do my best narrating voice. Listen to the beating drum. It tells 100 stories of our people, of our homeland.
Some of birds, of beasts, and sweet grass. Close your eyes and listen, and you might come to hear a story. that no one hears but you alone, and that'll be a story of your very own. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, hey, ah, hey, oh. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, ah, hey, hey, ah, hey, ah, oh. When at first I heard them, I was standing with my
Mm.
grandma. I stood staring at my elder. She was lost somewhere in deepest thought. When at first I heard them, I was standing with my cookum. She smiled. She started swinging. She'd closed her eyes and started singing. It wasn't loud at first. It was just a simple hum. I tugged with force on both of her arms. I said, Grandma. I called out to her, I don't know what they're saying. She smiled as she looked out. How's it do?
That's beautiful.
You're
You stole
welcome.
my thunder. You
Dorothy,
just ran with it. You
I don't
ran with
think
it.
anyone can steal your thunder. That
No, no, no,
thunder
no,
comes from
no.
deep, deep within. You know what I really like? I love to watch it when you dance with the kids. I've been
Oh,
watching
yeah.
you. I've been watching your progression in life, and you're right. You found your calling, and you're lucky because you found it at such an early age.
Really?
Um,
I thought I was a late bloomer.
excuse
Yeah.
me.
Mm.
You know, my
Well,
old
I'm
mom.
not as young as I look, but
Uh, yes, you are. You know, my late mom used to say,
my spirit is young.
yeah. But also your body and your actions and your family and that love that you exude towards everybody and everything is youthful. And you could be 100 years old and it would be youthful. Okay. Well,
Hopefully.
Dorothy, can I
Yeah,
start with a
I plan
couple?
on sticking around for a while, so I'll be
No.
dancing even when I'm 100. I'll be dancing.
Oh man, we'll all be the beneficiaries of your passion and your love. Okay, Dorothy, can I start with two real quick ones?
Of course. This is
Okay.
all about you, not about me.
No, there's been too much all about me. Can I start with this for your viewers? If you're a parent or a grandparent, an uncle, an aunt, or an educator, can I say a real quick word about mental health?
Yes,
Mental health
please.
is
We need
real.
it.
It's everywhere. When I speak to students and I speak to hundreds of thousands of kids, I always say, how many of you have someone in your life who starts the day every day with a little pill, not for a physical ailment, but for a mental health related ailment? And I'm not lying to you. Any one of my audiences will be 50% more. And Stats Canada tell me that by the time, in the lives of these kids that we're working with now, 90% of them will be directly affected by someone with mental health. It'll either be them, a parent, a spouse, a sibling. It's that real. And Dorothy, we as parents aren't trained to recognize or how to deal with it. We as
Yeah.
educators, I have a master's degree. Not once did anybody ever say to me, by the way, this is what, if you see this behavior in a child, it might be a mental health disorder. Never once, nor did they teach me how to handle it. So we kind of struggle our way through lives. And I want you to know that I don't talk to kids, parents, teachers, educators anymore without starting by saying mental health is real as a physical disability. And for heaven's sakes, folks, you owe it to your kids to ask and to be open to, and never look at somebody and say, what's wrong with you? Instead,
Yeah.
is there something wrong? Dorothy, my little girl, I said it was known. I mean, when she was 5, 6 years old, we used to travel to Europe almost every year. We went to India, China, and I'm not kidding you. She used to vomit all the time. She would get physically ill, and I should have tweaked, and it didn't until she was in grade 11 and came home covered with a red, which she called hives. We took her to a psychiatrist, and sure enough, she has a social anxiety disorder. Every day she wakes up and she starts her day with Cipralex, and she needs a little Bifent. And she had to take 2 years off after high school, even with a wonderful academic average. And to this day, she struggles. She has social anxiety, general anxiety, and it's real. So parents, teachers, for heaven's sakes, please, let's start with knowing, acknowledging if there's anything that's different, seems different in the compartment of the child, check it out. Don't take it for granted that it's just behavior. Check it out. The first
Well,
one.
I think that stems a lot from how grown-ups and adults deal with society as well, right? We're very quick solution, band-aid solution. So a lot
There's
of
that.
parents don't even recognize the symptoms or the signs within their own kids because they're so busy and flustered and trying to cope with their own emotions and their own anxieties in
It's
everyday life.
true. And then there's that extra bit, Dorothy, that says that social media and the way that we fluently communicate around the world, kids can see that. And I think it affects them in a way that we really can't understand. Um, all of a sudden these children are have these expectations for where they'd like to live, how they'd like to live, how they'd like to be perceived. And it's really, really hard. And in truth, when I was a kid, we didn't have those. I didn't know that people wore Ralph Lauren. I
Oh,
did.
with brands.
I didn't realize that my goal in life should be to drive a BMW or Mercedes. Nobody told me that. I figured I should be driving an old truck, and you know,
Well, I think again, this comes down to parents, and maybe these are the goals that we are quietly implementing into them because we're seeking those things for ourselves and we want to live through our children. So
well,
sometimes
Dorothy,
those
that's
aspirations are the pressures put on the kids that are actually the failures or the disappointments and the setbacks of the parents. I
that's
see it
so
all the
so.
time.
Haven't
Yes,
we heard it said that parents who know better do better?
yes.
So,
So it's
same
absolutely with the parents.
same with kids. So when you're able to say to parents, give them some slack. By the way, that's my first message. The second one I'd love to share with all parents because somebody should have told me that. No one told me that. I had to figure it out on my own, and that's one of the nice things about living life. All of a sudden, you get wiser because you've lived it. Every one of our children has something special. Dorothy, I know that when you billed me, it was as a champion of children's literature, and I wish it, and to do it again, I'd say it's a champion of children, and I want folks to know that reading is not only a gift, but it's a prerequisite for succeeding in our schools, and it shouldn't be. I, if I could, I'd get out there and I'd say every one of our kids has something golden within. Our goal is
Oh,
not to teach the curriculum, not to teach them. It's to find out what gift creator has given them and help them build around who they are. And that's what I did in the seven sacred teachings. And now we learn from the sun. I've tried to say to kids, you have something golden. And so when I speak with students all the time, my first message is mental health. And my second one is this one. You deserve to go home tonight and walk in front of the mirror and stop and look and say, hey, you, I love you. You deserve that because you are one of a kind. You are unique. There are not two of you. And your goal in life is to look deep within and say, what am I? What was I given? What is my gift? And build your whole life around who you are, not around money or ego. Build your life around the gift that you've been given. And every one of our job as parents is to help those kids see what is it that they're gifted? What do they love? Can they dance? Can they sing? Are they artistic? Are they technical? And then help them, direct them not to build our lives around ego or material things, but rather around who they are, and they'll live a good life. And in the indigenous world, we always say, you jump in the river and don't swim upstream your whole life so that you can get one car, two cars, a big house, a big garage. Don't do that. Turn around and swim at the river. Swim with that river.
let the river carry you. Yes, yes. Go with the flow. And you can't step in the same river twice, right? So that's profound for me because once I started living, knowing that I'll never get the same moment again, like the
Yeah,
same moment twice, like you
yeah.
really just start living differently. You live with so much awareness and intention and mindfulness
Mm-hmm.
with your own experience with whatever you're experiencing and the people that you're surrounded with and how you're feeling in that given moment, knowing that you can very well control exactly how you're feeling at that moment. And I like how you touched upon that golden spark, that golden light that shines within each one of us, because I, as a child, didn't see that in myself either. So it took a lot of reparenting myself and doing that self work and self love and like seeing myself in the mirror and saying, wow, like you're so divine. You have a divine spark within you and you have so much to share with the world.
Dorothy,
And it takes
that's what I was
so
saying.
it
Those of
takes
us
so
who have
much courage though,
Those
because
of us
like
who have followed you on Instagram, we've seen that growth. And that's one of the bonuses of social media. I've seen it in you. I saw when you started and how you developed, and all of a sudden I saw it just, man, the blanket came off, and here is who I am. I would, that's one of the, I mean, there are so many downsides to social media, but that's one of the real plus. I've seen it in you. I
yeah,
know.
I've used it in the positive sense as my vehicle to give others the inspiration and permission to do the same. Because it can be used as a positive tool, like
Uh, per,
anything. Life is built on contrast, polarity, right? So we can
permission,
destroy or we can create. We
permission
can
and
love or we can
responsibility.
enhance. Yes.
I
So
know.
yes, with great power comes great responsibility, special social responsibility. So
No
like I
kidding.
remember when I met you back in Slave Lake, Alberta,
You were pregnant.
and I was like, who is this guy? Like he is magic. He is just so magical. Like the way you tell a story, how you engage with the story. Like I had goosebumps. And then you started playing the flutes. I was like, oh. I
Yeah.
need to know this person. He's going to be
Okay.
my friend for life.
With your energy, you are easy to impress. Let's be real clear.
I was in the front row. Yes.
You sure were. Um, anyway, Dorothy, I think that when I think about who you are and what you represent and the message you're trying to share with your listeners, the parents, I think those social activists, those people who are looking around saying, what can I do for my own family, for myself? Let's be real clear. Creator's given everyone a gift. You know that I didn't know what my gift was till I was 46 years old. I'm not lying to you. When I was in kindergarten, my teachers used to look at me and say, "Bouchavich taire? Do you want to stop talking?" I was 4 years old. And I remember saying no and getting a licking for it. In grade 4, teacher saying to me, "Bouchard, tais-toi. Shut up." I said, what? In grade 9, a priest said to me, "Ta gueule, your mouth." Not one person ever told me what my gift was. I was 46 years old. I figured it out. Went home for lunch with Vicky, and I said, "Baby, I'm doing the wrong job." And she said, "No, you're not. You're a wonderful principal." I said, "Creator didn't make me a principal. He made me a storyteller. Vicky, my gift is the gift of story." And she said, "Sweetheart, you can retire in 6 years, and then you can tell all the stories you want to tell." And I said, "Vicky, I just left the board office. I quit my job."
Oh, wow. Just like that.
After 28 years being a teacher and a principal, I quit my job. Why? Because someday I'm going to go meet my creator. She's going to throw her big arm over my shoulder and say, "David, did you use the gift I gave you?" And I'm going to say, "Well, I tried to, but I wanted to talk to you about that. You made me dyslexic. And that meant that reading was really hard for me. School was really hard for me. And you made me a talker. I was always in trouble for talking. Creator, you know I love hockey. They make a lot of money. Did you ever think about making me a hockey player?" And Cree's going to look at me and say, "David, shut up." I know she will because we have the same sense of humor. I'm created in her likeness, so she must have my sense of humor. We've got to use it. And sometimes we don't even know as adults, what really kills me. Some people get old and they say, "You know what I was really good at, what I could have and I should have done?" And I say, "Don't waste my time.
Um,
Do it. Yeah, but I'm already, do it." My favorite British author is Lucy Boston. You know how old she was when she wrote her first book? 63.
it's never too late and you're never too old.
Ah, look at you. You're a philosopher.
Oh.
She wrote her last book at 94.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. That's why I love, well, if we look into nature, which a lot of us don't, sadly, like we're constantly reminded because we treat life as this separation and we separate ourselves from nature, we separate ourselves from others, when really we're really are hashtag all in this together, right? And it doesn't, it's sad that it takes like something that we're experiencing right now to realize that we have to, oh wow, we're slowing down now. Our time is different.
Do you
There's
have
no
to hit
rush hour.
do you have to hit rock bottom before that happens? I don't know. But
Maybe for
let's be
some.
real clear. When you look around at some of the religions and all the hurt that's been done in the name of faith, whether you're Muslim, Christian, or Buddhist, it doesn't matter. All of the pain has been done. Let's be real clear. We all come from Mother Earth. And when we die, we all go back to her. Period. I've been to China, India, Europe, Africa, and everyone thinks of her as Mother Earth because we all come from her, no matter who you are. And when I was born from her and I took my first breath, I looked up at Father Sky and I realized he is my father, which is why we say Mother Earth, Father Sky, who gets his power from the sun, my grandfather. Mother Earth, Father Sky, Grandfather Sun, Grandmother Moon, and the stars are where I will be when I die. I will join my family, all my relations. We are all one. I know.
Yeah.
And of
Yeah.
course, it's so easy when you talk to students, to youth, not just to youth, I guess people who are open-minded, people who are ready to accept the reality, and you say to them, we are all one family. In the eyes of our Creator, I'm sorry, we're not more special than that little deer down the road, or that kitten that's walking across the street, or than the tree in your garden, or the flower. We are all one family, and that's why we have to learn to respect one another, be respectful towards the environment, and towards other animals, and towards, I know. And then you watch what's going on in the U.S. and you say, what are they doing? They're better than that. Or they're going to tell you they are overall better than that. Some things they do shock me. How they elected Donald Trump just blew me out of the water. After electing Barack Obama, I thought these people would never do that. And they did. And I don't think that he's the kind of person you want your children to emulate. I mean, I don't blame him for being what he is. I just look around and I say, why would they have a man like that represent them? And then, of course, the racist things that are going on in the U.S. Now, I'd like to say that we in Canada are any better, but excuse me. The way we've treated our Indigenous population, the way we treated the Japanese during the war, we've got a long way to go. We're taking little steps. And every once in a while, I think, I like that. I mean, Justin Trudeau, what the heck? When he was elected, I thought, I don't know. But the more I see him doing little things right, I think, oh, good for you. And you know the best part of him? It's his youth. I mean, he hasn't forgotten. He is that close to being a very young man. And I really like some of the things he does. His relationship and his, at least his reaching out to work with women, and his respect for his wife and for women. I love that in him. Um, we're way off topic, aren't we, you and me?
No, we're going with the flow. We're flowing with the river.
Yeah,
Yeah,
going down the river.
I can resonate with that as well because like we both have a background working with schools. So for me, it was in High Prairie School Division in Alberta, and like you say, like you think we in Ontario, I feel at least where I live, it's very multicultural. So we're quite respectful of each other. Like we're just very accepting here. But when I moved up there, hello viewers over there if you're watching, but it was just different. It was very prevalent and it was very eye-opening because even being in the schools and hearing how students spoke to
Yeah,
each other, how some teachers spoke to the students. I was like,
yeah,
what era am I in? But
yeah.
I got to work so closely with, they had some staff members that were specifically designated to working with the FNMI culture. And I just got so immersed in it and I got to hear the stories. I got to be a part of the culture. I learned how to stitch moccasins and I had blisters to prove it. But I just really fell in love with the culture and I really wanted to bring it back and celebrate it and make it more prevalent in my work while I was there. So I don't know if I really
Dorothy,
succeeded, but I tried
I,
my best.
I can say that things have changed drastically and dramatically over the last few years. Come to the north, and you'll find a much more open and versatile and a much more deliberately uh, active group of people. I mean, I'm not kidding you. We are really, really progressed. So you'll come back and have a look, and you'll see. The other thing I'd like to share with you is that we have. You're right. Toronto is a wonderful multicultural city, but come in
Oh, you
Edmonton.
have a school named after you here in
Can you
Ontario.
believe that?
And it's not that far from me.
No, Oxford's not, is it? Yeah, it's a
What an
beautiful school.
honor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was an honor. Dorothy, I was speaking to a conference in Calgary just a few months ago, and I lined up behind a black administrator, francophone, and I said, and you, how long have you been here? And he said, I've been here in this board for 3 years, and before that I was in Montreal for 10, and then before that I was in Paris doing my doctoral degree. And I said, oh, you must miss Paris. I'm sorry. In Okotoks, after I've been in Paris, and he turned around and he said, you have no idea what the racism is in Paris, do you? And I said, I've been to Paris 50 times and no, I've not seen it. And he said, there wasn't not 1 week that I lived in Paris in 10 years doing my doctoral degree that I wasn't pulled over because of the color of my skin.
Mm.
Not 1 week. And I listened to him and I said, I don't know what to say. And he said, then I moved to Montreal, and I can honestly tell you there was not one time in 10 years that I was pulled over because of the color of my skin. And I heard something like that on CNN yesterday where somebody said, how many times, ask any black person how often they've been detained or pulled over, and then ask their counterpart, a white person, how many times. And it's frightening. So there's when you get into racism, man, I could go on forever and ever, but we're not doing that. We talked mental health. We talked about something golden, and I would love very, very quickly to share some ideas and read.
Literacy.
Well, it's literacy. It's about stories, isn't it? For me, I don't care how you get a story. If somebody tells you the story, awesome. If you view it, wonderful. When it comes to reading, of course, that's something different because in order to succeed in school, you've got to be able to read. If you can't read, they're not going to let you succeed, period. And that's part of it.
I can tell you as a parent, it starts at a young age, absolutely, as you know, but it's having the child on your lap even before they can make sense of the story or the words. It's them, and I'm a tactile person. It's the feeling of holding the book, looking at the pages, the pictures, flipping the book. Like I'm all for technology and the electronic era, but there's something very special. It's different. You're holding something that
That's got to do with your age.
No, not necessarily.
Yes, it does. Because for me,
But it hurts
honestly,
the
Dorothy,
eyes when you're always on the screen. I can't do it. I just
No,
love
no, never mind the
holding a
screen, but
book.
what about a story? When you have an elder come in and tell you a story, or your mom or your dad sits down and say, "Sweetie,
That's awesome too. Yes, yes.
so you don't need that tactile book, whether you get a story that way. And of course, don't forget that in the North, in so many of our schools and in our reserves and our communities, books are not a commonality. So what
Um,
is common? It tends to be television. And it's not a downer, it's just the reality. We watch a lot of TV and we learn through TV. We get stories and whatnot. Um, but to go back a bit, to become oh, by the way, you're right to sit your baby in your lap is true. But in our case, for Victoria, I started to read to her before she was conceived, because I was
yeah.
practicing my stories and I was getting my own library. And then when she was conceived, man, every day in the womb, I would read to her. I'm not kidding you. By the time she saw the light of day, I had mastered Junie B. Jones.
Mhm.
I know. And then after that, it was time and time again, and just every night. And of course, the fun thing about technology is when I would be on the road, I'd be able to read to her through Skype. So every night I'd Skype, and I'd have a book and I'd have a bear. And the bear would read the book to my little girl. And when I come
Oh,
home, I would have signed it and I would have said, I read you this book in wherever, Montreal or wherever. So now at the age of 21, she has this plethora of wonderful books, all signed by the readers. But what I wanted to say, Dorothy, is that the really difficult part for us as Indigenous people is that to become a reader, you need three things. Of course, you need time, and we as Canadians still struggle with giving our kids enough time. We're always in a hurry. We want to pluck that fruit off the tree and fill it full of steroids instead of letting it fall. There's no hurry. So in Alberta, they're again moving back to testing grade threes, and I've got some news for you. Some little boys in grade three just want to pee in the sand.
oh,
They don't want to read yet. Give them time. It's not a race. So, do I think they should be testing grade three? Duh. They need time. The second thing they need a hero. And in fairness, in a lot of our reserves and northern communities, in fairness, a lot of other communities, it's hard for a parent to be that hero. Maybe it's because they've got kids. Maybe they're a single parent and they have kids to care for. Or so you need to have that hero. And I always say to teachers and parents, put on a hero hat and just let the kids see that you love to read, that you, their hero, love to read. But here's the most
yeah.
important part: they need books.
Lead by
No
example.
books, no reading. And the books have to be two things, Dorothy. The books have to include them. Books have to be inclusive. Now, here's the problem. How many Filipino people are living in our country now? Go into your libraries in Toronto and tell me, are there books that reflect the Filipino people? I don't see a lot of it. Certainly in our school libraries, they're very, very minimal. So I say to teachers, Google books for Filipino youth and bring them in. They've got to see themselves in a book. Now, that's the Filipinos. For us as Indigenous people, we haven't been there. There were no books on Indigenous people. The only books that were in our libraries years ago was Indian in the Cupboard, that's disrespectful, malinformed. And after that, it was Hiawatha, written by Henry Longfellow in 1877 in Kentucky. There was nothing. But
Mhm.
now there is just a wide range written by solid component female Indigenous authors, illustrators, and then a few males. I
Yeah.
know.
I
It's
think
there.
what I was
There.
alluding to with reading to my children is because even as they were toddlers and babies, even babies actually, like I go to the library now they're closed, but on a weekly basis, right? So the
Yeah.
library just became the place to go. It's like part of our normal routine. So I remember once I was watching someone else's kid and they were coming out for an outing with us and we were going to the library to return our books and get new ones and she's like, "What's a library?" I'm like, and my daughter was supposed to know. She's like, "You've never been to a library? Like, that's where all the books are, and you have a card and you can borrow it for free." And yeah, it just boggles my mind that like my daughter's in grade one and they did a
Has she
field
started
trip.
reading, Dorothy?
Oh, she reads beautifully. And same thing, kindergarten, there's so much pressure to constantly raise her level. And then she just got it. She just got it and she's flying, right? Same thing with my son. They're reading at different paces and but there's if we put pressure, it takes the
Oh,
joy away from the
Dorothy,
journey
grade
because
one,
they want the
excuse
result.
me. Grade two, grade, there is no magical date. So for heaven's sakes, cut them some slack. I mean, when would
Yeah.
I start to worry? Maybe grade five or six, I'd say, you should be reading for now. But until then,
Yeah.
especially boys, we mature less quickly than girls. We
Well,
do.
some aspects.
No, really. Go by any school and watch the grade eights come out. The girls, it's they're walking across some runway, and the boys have got snot dripping down their nose, and it's just a riot. They look like grade threes. I know.
Yeah.
But to
Well,
finish
they're
that,
just
then,
Yeah, you can go
Dorothy,
ahead.
I was going to say they need books. And the second thing they need is they need books that they can read. Don't give a child a book they can't read. They won't read it, period. They have to be
Mm-hmm.
accessible to them as well as inclusive. And so when a lot of the books that I've written, Dorothy, I try to use rhythm and rhyme because rhythm and rhyme makes reading a little bit easier so they can read it and they can see themselves. Step into the outer circle, listen to the beating drum. Ah,
Yes.
I know.
Ah.
You know you're gonna have to cut me off because I'll go all day. And yes, I've got a flute to play for you.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Okay.
Let's do
Well,
something.
listen for your listeners. This is my shack.
Music
Uh,
speaks to me. Let's hear it.
I think it
I'll do
speaks
it.
to everyone, doesn't it? And my shack is filled with a real mixture of culture. You'll see pelts everywhere, and I shot a gopher in '67, and I cried for a week. I'm anything but a hunter, but when I travel, I'm given gifts of things like this beautiful lynx, or
Wow.
this wonderful hawk. I was speaking in Ontario, and that hawk got hit in the road. It was roadkill, and the school had it. And they said, "What are we going to do with it?" And I traded them that hawk for a pile of books. I know. Anyway, so there you can see these are my flutes, and I've got one that I took out, and I'll put it here, and I'll play a little tune for you.
Well, I
Uh,
can't wait to visit this shack. I could just look at all these things all day.
well, listen, there are stories, as you can imagine, behind every one of my flutes, and that's isn't that just the way it is with us flute players? Okay, that should work. And this is a this beautiful flute is a Mary Youngblood limited edition flute. And what I'm going to give you a little taste of is my healing song, Dorothy. Amongst Indigenous people, we can sell music and flutes and books, but we can't sell healing because in everybody's life there's going to be a need for healing. I would never see somebody bleeding in the ditch and say, give me $20 and I'll help you out. That's not what we do. Rather, what I would do is I would say, um, I guess my camera's not real good, is it right now? Don't know what I've
A
done,
little
Dorothy.
out of focus, but we can hear you.
Hmm. And I don't know why. Yeah. Well, I'm only with you for another few minutes, so we'll live with that out of focus thing, and I'll get to my song. So I was telling you that when my mom died, I started to play this song over and over again, and it became my healing song. And I never sell it. If anybody wants this song because they need healing for whatever reason, please email me at davidbouchard.com. I'm on the internet, and I'll send you the song. And you'll hear a guitar in the background. It's Syl Thompson, a good friend of mine who plays a wonderful guitar. So we do it together. But the song sounds like this. And it goes on and on. That's a little taste. Do you like it?
I
I know.
love it.
Um, it
It takes
became,
you places.
yeah, and for me, became a healing song. I played it to get through Mom's death, and then now every once in a while I play it when I feel down and sad. Thanks for having me on.
It's so beautiful.
Maybe
Oh
we can do
man,
this again someday.
I think we should.
Did I happen to tell you how much I watch and enjoy watching you grow?
Watching you grow.
Yeah. Have I happened to mention how my favorite thing is watching you dance with the kids?
Yeah, I'll do more of that for you then.
They are adorable. They are just so adorable to watch mommy go crazy.
They are just such free spirits, and I'm so blessed to have them as my teachers because they reminded me what it's like to be a child again. So, and living from here.
I don't think I think if you would not had the kids, you'd have probably gone that way anyway. It was something that was within you that was just waiting to escape.
I would because I'm a big kid at heart, but
Hmm.
having that in your presence just really, I
Hmm.
gravitate to it. Like I always gravitate towards children and
Hmm.
especially kids nowadays, they're very different than like when I was born, my generation or generations prior. They're just, you can't fool them. You can't lie to them. You can't pull the wool over their eyes. They see, they know, they feel. I'm not even
They
going to
do.
try to pull anything
I
across
don't.
them with them.
I don't know
They know,
when.
mommy, what's wrong?
Oh
Mommy,
yeah.
mommy's sad. Mommy, why are you sad? Does mommy want a hug? They
Yeah.
just are so intuitively connected. And obviously, the child and mother connection is the strongest bond you'll ever have,
There is
right?
nothing like it.
There's nothing like it. But I feel that way instinctively for all children. And I want all children to flourish and to
I agree.
thrive and to rise above this, even all of this that's happening right now.
Hmm.
And I feel that if anything, my generation, your generation, we're the ones to rebuild it and give them the platform to really launch off of and thrive because they've got it together. As
Well, they
long as
do.
we don't dull the magic, we don't put them to sleep with the devices and the technology and the social media in the negative sense, then they're going to be fine. And they're going to teach us how to live in the
We
new earth.
we have
They
to cut
have
them
the gift.
loose.
They have
Dorothy,
the
I tell
gift.
kids all the time, you are the best generation the world has ever seen. They
Yeah,
are.
we have everything. We have everything.
We are driven by greed. We really are. We make decisions based on money. Will they build a pipeline through Alberta? Of course they will. Why? Because there's money in it. Period. That's the reality of who we are. We've always been that way. Kids, not at all true. This generation is magical.
They
Dorothy,
are.
I was in a school in Toronto. It was a high school in Toronto. I got there a few minutes early. There were four kids on the stage representing the LGBT community, and they spoke for about 15 minutes. And I wasn't focused on what they had to say. I was focused on the audience. There were 350 students watching them, not judging them based on the color of their skin, their sexual orientation, their socioeconomic standards, their academic abilities, completely open to what their challenges were being gay or lesbian or in their school. And I thought, oh man, I want to be like you. I swear to God, I want to turn this world over to you. And if I could do one thing as a politician, I would lower the voting age. I mean, they can't do worse than we are, but more than that, they can build a beautiful world. Let those 16-year-olds vote. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They're the future right now. It's true.
Okay. Come on, give me a hug and I'll let you go.
Ah, Huggy.
Okay. It's been real nice seeing you. Thanks,
Oh, so
Dorothy.
wait. Where can we send people to experience you further and see what you're
Oh,
up to?
well, listen, my website is pretty easy. If you just Google me, I'm
Yeah.
just kind of omnipresent. But something we started, and we should have done that a long time ago because the footprint that I've left on the earth, on the carbon footprint I've left is wrong. I travel so much and I consume gas and I drive cars, hotels. For the first time, we started setting up a series of webinars, and we had a
Yes.
couple last week, and we've got all kinds of people calling in, and I'm going to do right from this desk. I'm going to try to offer, well, obviously I'll read from my books and that kind of thing, but I'll try to share some of the teachings and learnings that I've done online. So if anybody's interested, check it out online and you'll see webinars and then of course I've got a YouTube channel where I read a ton of my books. I'm doing more and more of
Yeah.
that. So people don't have to buy.
I was so happy when you did the first one. Remember, I was
Yeah.
like, "Yay!
Yeah.
Do more of this. Do more
I
of this."
know.
Because now everyone can experience you, and they don't have to wait for you to come to their location. Like
It's
exactly, you're
Dorothy.
everywhere.
I
Your
mean, there
essence
was a
will be
time that we did what we did for money. Well, if you do that here, you're going to lose money there. Come on, we're well past that. I don't know. Okay, here's another hug.
ah
Good luck.
right
Thanks
to
for
the
having
heart.
me on. I really
Thank you so much.
enjoy
I'm
watching
going to
it.
keep sharing and posting everything that you're doing so people can follow with your journey and continue experiencing and really absorbing and integrating the amazing work that you're doing and the light that you're shining and the gifts that you are continuously sharing with everyone.
Well, coming from you, that's a real special praise.
Coming
Thanks.
from you. I'm so
Yeah,
honored to have you here. You're really a national treasure. You really are.
and you're a doll.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dorothy. Bye.
All right, everyone, have a beautiful weekend. Thank you so much. So this wraps up this week's edition of Breakthrough TV. I hope you've enjoyed it. We've just started. Can you believe it? We're just getting started. And the guests are continuing to really just blow me away. And we're starting off once again on Monday at 12 o'clock lunch. And we're going to speak with John Fortin, who goes from the slopes to the yoga mat. And he is just a beautiful, radiant personality and soul. I'm so excited to have him. So 12 p.m. live right here, same place, same space, and have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much. Take care.